Hi, I'm Emily Gould, and I'm here with the ladies of The Merchant of Venice. I'm just going to have you guys go down the line and introduce yourselves and introduce your characters.
I'm Melissa Miller, and I'm playing Jessica, Shylock's daughter.
I'm Kate MacCluggage, and I'm playing Portia.
I'm Kristen Simon Marabate, and I'm playing Nerissa.
You guys all have some really challenging stuff going on with each of your characters. Two of your characters, it's been pointed out to me, are not inherently likable people in some ways. But the onus is still on you to make decisions about where those more unlikable aspects of your characters come from.
Yeah.
And I imagine that must be really difficult. I mean, I think maybe most for Melissa, just being this character who it's hard to justify the decisions that she makes.
I know. It's really hard that she leaves her father and takes all his money to run off with a Christian. But I'm trying to find the truth within her. Darko talks a lot about wanting to belong, and I think she's just so suffocated in the society that she's in and wanting to get out. But I think what I've discovered in working with Murray is that I think she really does love her father, and so I think she's, as much as the other characters are, just have such inner turmoil and torment that they're putting themselves through, because she's not sure she's doing the right thing, and even throughout the play and at the end, she's still not sure she's done the right thing. She thinks she's going to hell by the end. And she's also really young and has never been in the real world and doesn't know, and I think this seems like the right thing for her.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're all trying to find the humanity of our characters and what drives them to do what they do.
I was struck by the fact that from her first line, Nerissa is not maybe your typical servant. She's not servile, in other words. She's like really sassy, actually. Just sort of the first thing you say is I would not know the one, but some variation on, like, you think you have it so rough, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're giving ourselves permission in that we're setting it in the future where I am a administrative assistant or I am a manager for Portia. We're also really good friends. So probably in a way we've grown up together. So there's a difference between when she's the boss and when, of course, she's the friend. And I think Nerissa gets away with a lot. And I think Nerissa has probably caught Portia in a couple of moments where Portia might feel a little guilty, which sometimes can open up that door of, okay, I can allow you to get that one because I know a couple of days ago I said something really bad. Yeah. And I think that's true. And I think that Nerissa's torn because there are moments where she really does love Portia, and she is her friend. But then again, there are those moments where she realizes that Portia has some issues with race and religion. And I think as the play goes on, Nerissa sees this even more.
I just have been thinking, in thinking about the play, a lot about how differently the same events can be perceived. You know, it's comedy from someone's perspective, but from another perspective, it's definitely a tragedy. How do you manage those moments of levity that are definitely there in the text, with that sort of underlying note of just kind of straight up creepiness that runs through this play? It's a question for whoever wants to take that and run with it.
I mean, people need that for themselves. They need a certain amount of release of whether it's some sort of girly joy that we sort of have together. A good example, I think, is actually our first scene where my father has just passed away and I'm in this very completely bizarre situation where my dad has set up this strange riddle for anybody coming to woo me, where they have to choose a gold or a silver or a lead casket, right? So we already are in this unbelievably weird situation where my entire future and my entire life is wrapped up in this guessing game. And meanwhile, this is the legacy my dead father has left me. I mean, it's like, this is where I'm starting. And yet out of that, Nerissa and Portia end up having this great moment where they're sort of talking through all the suitors who have come before and making fun of them.
And clearly looking at their Facebook profiles. Or
Exactly.
Whatever, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
an awesome little bit of stage business.
Yeah.
One thing that I wonder whenever I see any Shakespeare production is how the actors handle those moments where people who have heretofore not really known each other very well at all are suddenly in love.
Oh my God, well, ask me today. You just sort of have to jump in and trust your your fellow actor, and
kind of a big cast. There's some, and there's some people who you kind of see for a scene and then never see again. There's those roles aren't
It's kind of multiple
cast.
roles
Yeah,
that are being played.
Okay.
Darko's done a good job of incorporating everyone, so it really feels like an ensemble piece, though.
It's true.
And yes, and he's great at letting you breathe and live, even if you might not have the biggest scene. And
I mean, like your character is.
I have a whole world and a life and side story
Creating a whole
and
life for each
levels,
character.
and it's great. It's great to long for. I long for those moments where I get to watch and listen because I always find something or discover something new.
The way Darko does it, he said, there's so many levels in this, so we're going to start with your characters, and then we're going to take you, and what's your story when you're in this scene, and just like pieces it together like that. So everyone really has their own thing going on within it, which makes it just really rich, I think.
Yeah, I saw him doing things in rehearsal that I haven't seen a lot of directors do in terms of suggesting really specific like physical gestures that would come to him. Like that's kind of, I don't know, getting really invested in stuff on like a micro level is awesome in some ways, but do you feel like you are sort of contributing a lot to stuff, or it's more
because you can say, actually, can I just try it this way, and you try it, and he's like, now can you just try it doing this gesture, and then you're like, oh, I got it, that makes sense to me. And so just trying different things, I think.
And I found with him is that if he makes a suggestion, usually it's something that he's already seen you do.
or he'll
start
take
to do.
something that you
And he'll just kind of gently give you that permission
True.
to do it.
And he also takes inspiration from like all over. So, you know, he said to me at one point that the look he wants for the scene where we start to get dressed up as men, that he wants this sort of, or when we're coming back, that he wants this sort of Katharine Hepburn look. So
You mentioned the cross-dressing, which is so
We all
lots
cross-dress.
of cross-dressing.
yeah, all three of us do.
Yeah.
In order to be out in the world, we have to dress as men.
Yeah.
How does that jive with a near future thing?
Well, I think that it is a really good point, because think about the women in politics that have survived or that have gotten into office, and there's a certain masculinity
really
that they have.
Haircut and a pantsuit.
Exactly. You know, there's those that succeed that have that masculine way about them. Maybe not necessarily in dress, but that in feeling and in strength. And I think Shakespeare does that with this play, in that in order for us to be strong and be heard and have people listen to us and be influential, we have to dress and behave as if we're men.
But also, I mean, we're going into the trial scene, and our husbands, who we've just married, are there. So we absolutely can't be recognized. We want to be totally covert, and I think you have a little bit of that same sort of thing too.
Mine is more just to not be recognized in the escape.
But then, as always, there's the moment where everyone is stripped back to their true natures, and that moment of revelation is always a really interesting one. The moment of kind of messing with your new husband's head is so weird in this play. It's almost like your character is getting some kind of satisfaction by seeing how far she can take the ruse. What's going on there? It's so strange.
Yeah. Revenge is a big thing in this play. And I think that a lot of that toying with him is linked up in Portia's revenge, and that's what I think at this point. We're still sort of early in it, so my guess is that it's about getting back at him and teaching him a lesson.
Interesting.
I think what we've talked about a lot too is all the three women by the end of the play are in these marriages that all of a sudden they're not quite sure what they thought it was
Right.
or is going to be.
Yeah. And I think in the trial scene, of course, was for us, a lot comes out and a lot happens, and there's some mistrust afterwards, and so
I cannot wait to see this performance.
I'm excited.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it is going to be very cool.
Just a little tiny bit of it that I saw was so much fun. Thank you guys all for making the time and after a long day of rehearsing to come and be on camera. Thank you
for
so
having
much.
us.
thank you.
My pleasure.